Hi, it's that time again. Today, we're going to continue our education of astrology by looking at personal midpoints. These personal midpoints are very valuable in astrology. They can give us further details about ourselves or a client if you're looking at particularly a natal chart. These points can be really wonderful additions. Before we begin, I'd like to point out that if you'd like further information, you can check out my website at www.divinationcounselingservice.org. You can also visit my teacher's website at marthalangwestcott.com. And before we begin, I'd like to point out my main reference for this talk today is coming from a book called Architects of Time. It is written by Martha Lang Westcott. From pages 106 to 109, she goes into great detail about these personal midpoints. Today, we're going to start working with the midheaven. I'm going to keep it to the midheaven and the sun-moon midpoint today, just to not overwhelm us with too much information, but to give it to us in smaller increments. So I'm going to begin by first explaining how do we get a midpoint? What is the math that's involved? So the very first thing I'm going to look at is what I feel is one of the most important midpoints, which is between the sun and the moon, which oftentimes speaks directly to our relationships in life and perhaps how we may have seen our parents' relationship, as the sun is the moon, as the sun is the male and the moon is the female. It gives a lot of information regarding our relationships with the opposite sex, but relationships in general. So to get that math configuration, you could start by taking the degree of the sun. So we'll start with an easy one to begin for our first one. So let's take a 15-degree Aries sun. And this particular individual has a 23-degree Sagittarian moon. So you would then convert those degrees into numbers. Well, 15 degrees of Aries is 15. 23 degrees, I have to get my notes here, of Sagittarius is 263 in its number. When you add 15 plus 263, you come up with a number of 278. When you divide it by 2, you come up with a number 137. 137 equals 19 degrees of Leo. So that midpoint of that 15-degree sun and that 23-degree moon would be 19 degrees of Leo. So here's the second one, not quite as easy. Starting with a 21 degree of sun in Aquarius, which the number would then be 321. And the moon at 15 degrees of Scorpio equates to 225. When you add them together, you come with a number of 546. So we have to divide that by 2, and it comes to 273, or 3 degrees of Capricorn. So I hope that helped a little bit. I would strongly suggest practicing. I think when you use a dial, it becomes a little bit easier, but it's really important to know the math, just in case you don't have a dial handy. So today's assignment is the midheavens. And the midheaven, starting off with the Aries point, the midheaven here represents our future, our status in the outer world, or how we want the outer world to view us. And the Aries point, of course, is the world. So it is definitely how we want the outer world, in this particular situation, to view us, or how we are perceived in that greater world. Okay? The next one we're going to look at, because I'm really doing a summary here. Again, if you want further detail, check out Architects of Time. She does a nice job. Midheaven Ascendant. The ascendant is our environment, whether it be what we look like or our environment. It connects with the midheaven as a midpoint, and this is how we deal with those demands on a daily basis, the demands that we put upon ourselves by the direction that we've chosen or how we want to present ourselves, our career status, if you will, or social status, and our personality. So it's how do we deal with the daily demands and the routine? And it tells us more about who we are and how we got here. So there's it describes effectively how well we deal with those expectations, those ambitions, if you will, that we are driven. How do we handle that? Everybody's different. Midheaven's sun. Well, the sun is also a driving factor. It drives us. The sun is also our physical anatomy or health, if you will. We look like the ascendant, but oftentimes health is directly associated with the sun. And here we have what's driving us to that social status. What drives us? What is our desire to achieve, and how does it relate to that social status that we're developing? It also relates to those relationships with those who are in charge of us. It starts with our relationship to our father, and it moves on to relationships with our bosses or anyone else who might be in charge of us. How do we interact? Then we go to midheaven moon. Well, the moon is our emotional security. And here we're looking at things such as proving oneself. It'll be here that you can see and study the impact of your life and your career. That impact on you, but also the impact on your world. That impact of who you are and that you've been driven in that direction. It's about our validity, about our credibility, and whether or not we can emotionally establish ourselves in that role that we're creating. And the final one that I'm going to look at is the midpoint of midheaven and the nodes. The nodes would then be your timing, your contacts. And here again, it's the details that will help you get where you want to be in that social standing or in your career. And here we're looking at people that are more work-related or goal-related, but not necessarily people we know very well. So our contacts are more platonic, if you will. And these are the people that play roles in our life with regards to where we're going. So we're not necessarily very close to them, but they have an active role in connecting us up with that career or where it is we want to be with that career. It's about demonstrating what we can do through our work and goals, and that how that connects us with other people and with the world, but most particularly with those we work with. So before I go, I just want to say that next time we get together, we'll go through and we'll work on more of these. There are many more. So in addition to these, just for your education, we have the ascendant and the Aries point. We have the ascendant and the sun. We have the ascendant and the moon. We have the ascendant and the node. It moves on, and we have the sun Aries midpoint. We've already looked at the sun moon midpoint. There's a sun node midpoint, a moon Aries point, and a moon node, as well as a node Aries point. So we'll be looking at the rest of these when we meet again next time. Take care, enjoy, and continue to be excited about astrology.